Now, the Supreme Court has ruled that lenders will not have to pay compensation to millions of motorists over car finance loans. The court reviewed 3 cases and found that in one, the relationship between a motorist and their lender was unfair, but sided with finance companies in 2 other cases. So it's a major boost for lenders who had set aside hundreds of millions of pounds to settle claims. The Treasury says it recognises the issues this court case has highlighted, and it is working with regulators and the industry to understand the impact for both firms and consumers. Let's speak to Scott Dixon, who's known as the complaints resolver. He's a consumer and motoring disputes expert. Scott, morning. Just remind us then how these cars were bought. What makes these cars different to, say, some of the others which won't count for these compensation schemes?
Good morning, Charlie. So it's focused on the discretionary commission arrangements, and the Financial Conduct Authority, their remit is focused on this throughout the process, and it's separate from the Supreme Court cases. So what happened under this model, dealers could adjust the interest rate offered to the customer, and the higher the interest rate, the higher the commission they received. And the consumers were unaware of this financial incentive. So the Financial Conduct Authority, they are proposing a scheme that covers discretionary commission arrangements and that model. And they announced yesterday that they're going to set up a compensation scheme for consumers who were unlawfully sold car finance and unaware their car dealership were receiving a commission from the finance firm. So they ruled that this created a conflict of interest, and this was banned on the 28th of January 2021, and they began looking at this in May 2017 because they had concerns about discretionary commission arrangements where sales staff could adjust the interest rate on car loans.
Right. Okay. So it's consumers who think they might have been impacted by this. What should they? Is it a question of contacting the dealership? Who do they go to work out whether they are impacted by this?
Well, the time span for these cases starts from April 2007 to January 2021, and you need to contact your lender. I wouldn't rely on the lender contacting you because you may have moved house, and because some of these finance agreements go so far back, and they may have lost the paperwork. So what you need to do is contact your lender in the first instance and give them maybe your finance agreement details if you've still got it, your date of birth, car registration, name. Give them as much information as possible. And all you have to do is submit a complaint if you haven't already done so. And if you are eligible, you will automatically get a payout next year if your finance agreement ticks the boxes on the Financial Conduct Authority remit for redress. And the potential bill, what they're saying is it's going to be at least 9 billion and possibly double that, but most individuals will probably receive about £950 in compensation per finance agreement.
Right. Okay. So, I mean, 950 quid's better than nothing, isn't it? Depending on there may be that they've spent more than that, but it's better than zero.
But don't use a claims management company though, Charlie. I can't stress that enough, because they will take up to 30% of your money for doing nothing, and all you have to do is submit a complaint to your lender.
Right. Okay. Good advice. Thank you, Scott. Now, you mentioned there about the Supreme Court as well, and this is what I think is really crucial at the moment. There seems to be 2 things happening side by side, both of them sort of coming to the news headlines at around about the same time. So we've talked there about sort of discretionary interest. What's the other one talking about, and how do people know if they're impacted by that?
So the Supreme Court, they looked at 3 cases in the joint appeal brought by 2 lenders. And the one case that they upheld in favour of the consumer, it's known as the Johnson case. Basically, the commission was considered excessive. It was 55%. And the consumer, Mr. Johnson, he was treated unfairly, and he was misled. So it sets a high bar under the Consumer Credit Act. And, if you were misled, the commission was excessive and it was unfair, that's the angle that the Financial Conduct Authority are looking at in terms of non-discretionary commission arrangement finance deals. So there is still a door open if you have been treated unfairly and your commission was excessive. And these are questions that you need to ask your lender. What was the interest rate? Was there a discretionary commission arrangement in place? And just lodge a complaint anyway, because if your complaint ticks the boxes, you will get a payout.
Right, okay. I mean, it does feel very complicated talking about all these interest rates and whether they were sort of the discretionary side of things, or all of that. There's a lot to go on. Your advice would be, keeping it simple, is to lodge a complaint if you bought a car within that time frame, because if it ticks the boxes, then that will set the ball rolling, essentially.
Yeah, that's all you have to do, Charlie. And don't use a claims management company. There's no need to. And what they're looking at doing is they're going to unveil a consultation in October this year, and payouts will follow sometime in 2026 once they've reviewed the options and considered everything on both sides.
Scott, great to speak to you today. Thanks so much for clearing that up for us. Scott Dixon there, a.k.a. the Complaints Resolver on BBC Radio Somerset. Great to speak to Scott. Good morning. It's Charlie Taylor, live at breakfast. Thank you so much for joining us. Maybe you've been impacted by that. You can WhatsApp us, 08000 321 333. Start your message with the word Somerset. You can email me, somerset@bbc.co.uk. Tim has been in touch on this story. He says, one of my customers wanted to buy a new car with cash. The dealer refused and insisted that they take out finance. The consumer backed out of the sale. Questionable dealer integrity. Now, that all makes sense when you hear Scott saying there. It's amazing to me that this was ever the case, which is why it's been found to be unlawful, is that the dealer would get better commission if they sold cars at higher interest, i.e. at more expensive rates to the customer. They then would make more money with needlessly raising interest to the people buying the car or leasing the car. Yeah, interesting to hear all about that. And no wonder that there's been all this research and looking into it. I've got to say, I'm a person who's never bought a new car or never bought one on finance, always stuck with second-hand cars. So all of this is a new world to me. This is all very different, but I know that it impacts a lot of people. Hopefully we're able to clear up a few things there. Essentially what I think Scott's saying is, if you bought a car in that time frame and you're not sure, pop a complaint in. If your complaint isn't upheld, then what have you lost? And if it is, you could gain nearly £1,000 potentially.